Welcome back. Now consider shortest job first scheduling algorithm with these two examples. So we already discussed in shortest job first we have two approaches. One is non-preemption, second one is preemption. First we will discuss the shortest job first with non-preemption. Shortest job first with non-preemption. Okay. First, to consider this example, we have 4 process and 4 corresponding burst times. Here they are not given any arrival time. That means all the process are at a time enter into the system. All 4 process at a time enter into the system. Now construct the Gantt chart. Okay, so now all the process enter into the system at a time. So first, for which process we are allocating the CPU? For which process we are allocating the CPU? Okay. See, suppose if it is FCFA scheduling algorithm, we can allocate the CPU to any process. We can allocate the CPU to any other process, that is a completely our wish, because all the process at a time enter into the system. But in shortest job first, we are allocating the CPU to the process which has the least burst time, which has the smallest burst time. So here the smallest burst time is for process P4. So we are allocating the CPU for process P4. If they are not given any arrival time, that means they are arrived at time 0. How much amount of time it requires? It requires 2 units of time. It is a non-preemption. If it is a non-preemption, it takes all 2 units of time. It takes all 2 units of time. After that, which one has the remaining burst time? This one. The next smallest value is 3. So allocating the CPU to process P2. How much amount? 3. 2 plus 3, 5. Next for process P3, 5 plus 6, 11. And finally process P1, 11 plus 21, 32. 11 plus 21, 32. Now based on this again we will calculate turnaround time, waiting time, completion time. Suppose if you require completion time. When the process is completed, process P1 is completed at 32, P2 5, P3 11, P4 2. This is the completion time. Turnaround time is completion time minus arrival time. All the process at a time enter into the system. So both the completion time and turnaround time are same. Now waiting time. What is the waiting time? How much amount of time the particular process is waiting for the CPU? Simply turnaround time minus burst time. Waiting time is turnaround time minus burst time, or directly see from the diagram. P1, we are allocating the CPU to process P1 at 11. That is, from 0 to 11 the process is in waiting state. Otherwise, calculate from this also. Turnaround time minus burst time. 32 minus 21, 11. 5 minus 3, 2. 11 minus 6, 5. 2 minus 2, 0. What is the average waiting time? 11 plus 2, 13. 13 plus 5, 18. 18 by 4, approximately 4.5. This is the average waiting time. So for this question, it's a very simple. Now move to another example. In this example, we have arrival time also. That is, allocate the CPU based on the shortest job, at the same time based on arrival time. So see the example carefully. First, what is the starting arrival time? From the given example, the starting arrival time is for process P0. So process P0 entered into the system at arrival time 0. Process P0 entered into the system at arrival time 0, and this is the non-preemption. What do you mean by non-preemption? Once we are allocating the CPU, this box represents allocation of CPU. Once we are allocating the CPU, we are not removed from the CPU. The process is not removed from the CPU until its completion. So, how much amount of time it requires? It requires 5 milliseconds. So, 0 to 5 is completed. What happens? Observe carefully. Whenever a process enters into the system, actually the process is placed in the ready queue. Remember this point. Whenever a process entered into the system, the process is placed into the ready queue, and this is the running state. That is the CPU executing this process parallelly, that is from 0, 1 millisecond, 2, 3, 4, 5 milliseconds. Parallelly, some another process are entered into the ready queue. See, after completion of 1 millisecond, suppose CPU executes process P0 by 1 millisecond. At the same time, P1 is entered into the ready queue. That means this entered into the ready queue, the execution of CPU all are done parallelly. How much time is completed? 5 milliseconds. That means within this 5 milliseconds, see, at first millisecond, process P1 is entered into the ready queue. At the second millisecond, P2 is also entered into the ready queue. At third millisecond, P3 is also entered into the ready queue. That means now we have all three processes are available. You got my point? Initially you have only one P0. Once we have completed this P0, the total time is 5 milliseconds. Within 5 milliseconds, all three processes are available right now. Now what is our aim? Among these three processes, I am selecting the process which has the least burst time. For example, assume here the burst time is 2. Here the process P0, the burst time is 2. So 0 to 2 is executed. Now how many processes we have? I have only process P1 and P2. You got it? Because the process P3 is arrived at time 3, but I am still on time 2. Okay? But coming to the same question, now we have three processors are available. So execute process P1. It requires 3 milliseconds. 8. Process P2. 8 plus 8. So is it right? No. Why? Because all three processes are in the system. Among these three has the least burst time. So I am executed P1. Now P2, P3. P3 has the least burst time compared to P2. So P3 is executed. 8 plus 6, 14. Now finally P2. 14 plus 8, 22. You got it? 14 plus 8, 22. This is the shortest. So in the similar fashion, we can calculate the completion time. When the process P1 is completed, P1 is completed at 8, P2 is completed 22, P3 is completed 14, and finally, P0. P0 is completed at 5, P1 is completed at 8, P2 is at 22, P3 is at 14. Based on this, the same procedure, we can calculate the turnaround time. What is the turnaround time? Completion time minus arrival time. So 5, 7, 20, 11. Along the same way, you can calculate the waiting time also. Waiting time is the turnaround time minus burst time. In this way, you can calculate SJF scheduling algorithms with the non-preemption. The only remembering point is parallelly the process entered into the ready queue and the CPU executes a process. That is, a process is entered into the ready queue and one process is in the running state. ready state and running state is occurred parallelly. Then if it is available among the process, we are selecting the process which has the lowest job. We are selecting the process which has lowest job. These two examples, the shortest job first with non-preemption. Next we will discuss the same shortest job scheduling algorithm with preemption.